Hello, this is Sophia Dominique, and this is a video on the Form 8949. This is my best way of explaining how to document non-business bad debt tax credits on your taxes using the tax software. So there are lots of different ways to do this. If you don't use the tax software, you can use something else. But if you are already comfortable with the tax software, or you need to become comfortable with the tax software, and you're looking for a way to document your tax credits within the realm of the software, this is the specific reason for this video. So the first thing we want to do is we want to understand the general applications for this particular form. Again, this is not the only form, but this is the one that I found that I could use with the tax software, and I did use with the tax software. So the purpose of this form is to use Form 8949 to report sales and exchanges of capital assets. That's the general reason for this form. Now, if you go to the bottom of the page, it says individuals use Form 8949, the one we're going to highlight, gain or loss on the sale or exchange by a non-resident alien individual of an interest in a partnership that is engaged in U.S. trade or business. Of course, if it's a non-resident alien can use this individual, then you surely can. If you're a resident non-alien. It also says here literally non-business bad debts and worthlessness of a security. I'm going to highly recommend that you read this whole form. Yes, it's 12 pages, but at least it's only 2 columns, and understand exactly how this specific form is used and how to fill it out and what everything means. Before I go to the form, this is my 3rd time trying to make this video. I am going to highlight this piece right here on line, it says part 1. On part 1, I actually used box C because it says report on part 1 with box C checked all short-term transactions for which you can't check box A or B because you did not receive a Form 1099-B. So if you didn't get a 1099-B, that's the box that you would check. Let's go over here and take a look at the form. So this is the form itself. I've removed, identifying information, which is why I had to record this video 3 times because I kept seeing that I left my information on here. So at the top of the page will be your name, and of course, if you're going to fill this out by hand, then you can just skip after this part, which I'll go over how to put it in the software. You have your name on here. It has your identification numbers. Again, as I already mentioned, I checked box C because I didn't have a 1099-B form. And then on the first line, it'll have your description of the property. Now, before I go into this description of the property and the rest of this form, let me explain to you why I classified this at the time as non-business bad debt. I did not have an understanding of business bad debt. I had an understanding of non-business bad debt. So what I had done and why I classified it as non-business is that in my my private capacity, I issued inside of my trust, I issued 10, not 10, what are those things called? Oh, bills of exchange to individuals who were trustees in order to obtain specific items for me. And so when I issued those bills of exchange, the trustees were unable to monetize those bills of exchange. Since they were unable to monetize the bills of exchange, I, of course, had documented the issuance of the bills of exchange with 1099-A forms, and then I had to document the cancellation of that debt because the trustee, from my understanding, had assumed that debt, and I wanted to ensure that that debt was canceled. in the accounting world, because I'm using the accrual method, and so I understand that every credit must have an equal and opposite debit to accompany it in order to zero out the books. So I issue 1099-Cs in relations to those trustees not being able to fully document or capitalize, monetize the bills of exchange. And so when I completed that process, I needed a way to document those corresponding credits on my taxes so that I could get the tax credits, because it's not a tax credit until it is documented with the IRS. That's really, really important to keep in mind. Until they have it on your tax transcript, it is not a credit. It has to be documented with them in some way. So, again, as a result, I was looking for a way to document this as non-business bad debt, because at the time of my understanding of business, this was not in relation to a business activity, which I now have a better understanding of. So if you're going to engage in the business bad debt, you would use a different process. That is primarily because as non-business bad debt, if you look at the rules, you can only use a maximum of $3,000 per year to offset your what you have been paid. So this is not a refundable tax credit. This is a non-refundable tax credit. As a non-refundable tax credit, it's really helpful for, again, like I said, offsetting what quote unquote income was reported to you. I hope everyone understands what I mean, but you will have to, if you don't understand these terms, go and look them up so you can have an understanding of what I'm saying. Okay, so when you report non-business bad debt, you also have to include a statement. You will have to look at the I'm gonna call it the American accountant's description of what a non-business bad debt is and what they mean as a statement. I wrote an actual statement. I issued X amount to this person for this purpose, and the reason why, and they couldn't monetize it, something along those lines. I used words. You can also use a chart, which moving forward, I understand that in accounting they prefer charts. So moving forward, I would use a chart, but I use an actual written statement at the time. It doesn't matter which one you decide to use, but do your research so that you understand what your options are. Okay. So line 1A is the description of the property. Line B is the date acquired, which in my case was various. Line C is the date that I valued it. I disposed of it. This would be the date when I realized that the trustees were going to be unable to monetize the documents, the instruments that I had given them, right? And so the proceeds were zero. Line E is also zero. Cost basis is zero. The adjustment codes from the instruction is zero or O, code O. You'll have to, go back over there and make sure you understand what that means. Let's actually just take a look at that real quick. I use code O. It doesn't actually. I didn't have a code. Oh, here we go. Here are the codes right here. I use code O. So code O is enter the appropriate adjustment in column G. That's it. That's why I use code O. O as in Oliver. Because I didn't have, it's none of these things above, but that's why you'll have to read it to make sure it's none of these things above. Okay. So in the next line, G is where I issued the total amount on my statement. Um, and remember, if it is a gain, it is a positive number. If it is a loss, it is a negative number. I answered mine as a negative number because it was something that went out to me and returned void. And because it was not returned to me fulfilled and it was returned void, I use a negative number. And so the total would be, again, in the last column, the gain or loss would be in a negative number. That information is brought down to the bottom with 2 here, the totals amounts that you use. So now I'm going to discuss how to import this information with the tax software. Okay, so here it's under income and it says your stocks or investments sold, and you want to add an investment sale. Now it does say sale, that doesn't necessarily mean that you sold something. It's just that's the terminology that they use, and so you're free to research that and understand it. I do use Free Tax USA for this kind of stuff, because I can get basic things done. A lot of times I will have to mail taxes in, but I will use this to actually input my taxes to the ability that they're able to input what is important, and that is not necessarily complete. Okay, so once I've come to this page and I've hit add an investment sale, it'll ask me what type of investment did I sell, and the answer is other. Save and continue. Choose how to enter this investment sale one at a time. Save and continue. Tell us about this investment sale, the investment description. I use my name, that's why it's blacked out. It says, did you acquire this investment on a specific date? No. Various dates acquired, 1 year or less. Now, the reason why I have it selected like that is because that is what I had done in that year. That was the process that I was attempting, trying out that year, trying to see if I could get it to work. All the rules say that these things are supposed to work, and it did not quite work the way that I expected. And so that was my way of documenting this information, that these things occurred, but they did not work. Okay. The date of sold or disposed, that's the same date that was on my thing. The sale proceeds 0. Costs or other bases, I left that blank. I didn't receive its form 1099B, that's why it was checked. Did I have a filing requirement? No, I didn't. Tax withheld, no taxes withheld. Save and continue. That was all on one form. This is the next page. It asks you if these were sold, of any of this stuff, which is interesting because if you have expired options or worthless stock, this is where you would, one place that you could report it. Adjustment to gain or loss. Yes. Did I have adjustments on the sale? And it asks you all of a pie. I have accrued market discount, or I have other adjustments. Save and continue. And then you put your amount there, the part that I have actually blacked out on the form, and save and continue. And that will produce you a form that looks like this. And so I know there's a lot of information that you have to understand before you can properly complete this form. Again, this is just one of the options. There are other options, but this is the one that I found when I was digging through, like I said, that could handle non-business bad debt and would actually also allow me to report it onto the software, allowing a quicker documentation of these non-business bad debt tax credits. So and they do value like other tax credits, but like I said, you can only use on your return up to $3,000 per year to adjust your total income. This is not, when you report it on the year, it doesn't adjust your, you can't use it like carry forward or carry back to cover your actual tax liability. That would be a different thing. You can use it like that when you carry forward and carry back, but not on the year in which you claim them. If y'all understand about that process. So you may have to do a little more research to make sure you're clear. So hopefully this has been a very clear video. I can answer questions if people have them. to the best of my ability. All right, everyone, be blessed and have a good day.